Most people don't notice the moment it happens. One day, the mirror feels a little quieter. The calendar stops rushing you. Conversations slow down. And without any announcement, life begins asking different questions, not louder ones, but deeper ones. What if this stage you've entered isn't about losing time, strength, or relevance, but about finally seeing what all those years were trying to teach you? Modern life treats aging like something to manage or apologize for. We're subtly encouraged to stay useful, stay busy, stay out of the way, as if growing older means closing doors instead of opening them. But Buddhist wisdom looks at this season through an entirely different lens. In Buddhism, old age is not decline, it is refinement. It's when unnecessary noise falls away and what truly matters becomes impossible to ignore. By now, you've lived enough to know that chasing everything leads to understanding nothing. You've learned which worries never mattered, which attachments exhausted you, and which moments stayed with you long after they passed. This phase of life isn't asking you to keep up with the world. It's inviting you to finally come home to yourself, to move through days with less urgency and more awareness, to replace ambition with alignment, to trade speed for clarity. This is not a video about turning back the clock or clinging to youth. On Zen Buddhism, we explore something far more meaningful: how to live this chapter with steadiness, dignity, and inner freedom. Let these words meet you where you are. Let them breathe with your experience. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where wisdom begins to speak, and there is still so much life ahead to be lived with presence. Let's begin. Number 1. The freedom that comes from letting go. If something in your life still drains you every time you think about it, that is not strength, it is weight. One of the quiet realizations that arrives with age is understanding that you were never meant to carry everything forever. In Buddhism, letting go is not seen as defeat, it is seen as wisdom finally speaking clearly. Release is not weakness, it is awareness choosing peace. As the years pass, life itself begins to simplify your priorities. What once felt essential slowly loses its urgency. Old roles you kept playing, expectations that no longer match your inner life, ambitions that once energized you but now leave you tired instead of fulfilled. This isn't failure, it's refinement. Aging, in the Buddhist view, is not about becoming less, it is about becoming more precise with your energy. Imagine your mind as a space you have lived in for decades. Some things inside still belong there. Memories that shaped your compassion, love that softened you, lessons that made you wiser. But there are also things you never intended to store this long. Resentments replayed until they lost meaning. Regrets that never changed the past. Obligations accepted out of guilt rather than truth. People you tried endlessly to please, even when it cost you your peace. These quietly clutter your inner world, leaving little room for stillness. Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering does not end when an experience ends. It continues when the mind refuses to release it. We suffer once in reality, and then again through memory. Peace does not arrive when life becomes easier. It arrives when we stop gripping what no longer belongs in the present moment. This stage of life invites honest reflection. What thought immediately exhausts you? Which memory grows heavier with time instead of lighter? Who are you still trying to satisfy at the expense of your own ease? These questions are not meant to judge you. They are invitations. Each one opens a doorway to clarity. Letting go does not require dramatic gestures. Sometimes it is forgiving someone quietly, even if they never apologize. Sometimes it is stepping away from an obligation that no longer aligns with your heart. Sometimes it is releasing an old identity that no longer reflects who you are today. The ego fears emptiness because it mistakes space for loss. But in Buddhism, emptiness is where peace enters. You are not losing anything essential. You are choosing what deserves to remain. And the lighter your inner world becomes, the more freely you move through the outer one. This is the freedom that comes with age, the wisdom to carry less and live more fully. Number 2. Finding meaning in gratitude and simple joy. If life ever feels empty, even though you've done everything you were supposed to do, you're not alone. Many people reach later years with full calendars behind them and a quiet question ahead of them. Was this what it was all for? Modern life teaches us that meaning is earned through effort, by staying busy, reaching goals, collecting proof that our time mattered. But Buddhism gently challenges this idea. It says meaning does not come from adding more to your life. It comes from finally noticing what has been there all along. For much of life, attention is pulled forward, the next responsibility, the next achievement, the next moment that promises fulfillment. In that constant movement, people often miss the life they are already living. Years pass in motion, not presence. Only later does the realization arise that happiness was postponed again and again, always waiting somewhere ahead. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that joy was never hiding in dramatic moments. It has always lived quietly in the ordinary. True happiness, in the Buddhist view, is simple. It does not announce itself. It arrives softly, in moments so familiar they are easy to overlook. The warmth of something held in your hands, the calm of a familiar space, a shared silence that feels safe, the gentle rhythm of a day that doesn't ask you to perform. These moments don't demand attention, but they reward it. Gratitude is what brings them into focus. When gratitude is practiced, the world doesn't change, but your relationship with it does. What once felt like background noise begins to feel meaningful. A small daily reflection can reshape the way the mind sees life. At the end of a day, remembering a few simple things that brought ease or comfort, not accomplishments, not milestones, quietly shifts awareness. Over time, the mind stops scanning for what is missing and begins recognizing what is present. Scarcity gives way to fullness. And with that comes a deeper question, not what did I achieve, but was I awake for my life today? Because when life eventually looks back on itself, it is not awards or recognition that remain vivid. It is moments of presence, moments when the heart was open enough to feel and the mind was still enough to notice. Aging offers a rare advantage, the ability to slow down without guilt. With fewer distractions and less pressure to prove worth, perception sharpens. Small things begin to glow. Quiet moments deepen. What once seemed ordinary reveals itself as precious. Life becomes less about accumulation and more about appreciation. Gratitude does not ask for more time. It asks for attention. Simple joy does not require effort. It requires openness. This is one of the great gifts of later life. Not the energy of youth, but the clarity to see that meaning was never far away. It was waiting patiently inside the everyday, ready to be recognized. Number 3. Protecting your peace through wise relationships. At some point in life, a quiet truth becomes impossible to ignore. Not everyone deserves a seat in your inner world. In earlier years, many of us stayed connected to people who exhausted us. We endured tension to avoid conflict. We stayed silent to keep relationships intact. We chose familiarity over authenticity and connection over peace. But with age comes clarity. You begin to understand that emotional calm is not a luxury, it is essential. There is a moment when you realize that being surrounded by people does not guarantee feeling supported. A crowded room can still feel lonely if your spirit is not at ease. Buddhism teaches that true companionship is not about numbers, it is about nourishment. What matters is not how many people walk beside you, but how you feel when they do. Do you feel lighter or heavier, seen or managed, at peace or constantly on guard? In Buddhist thought, there is an emphasis on intentional community, not a wide circle, but a meaningful one. Sometimes that circle is small, sometimes it is a single person. Sometimes it is simply your own presence. Anyone who brings calm instead of confusion, who listens without needing to fix you, who respects the person you are becoming rather than clinging to who you used to be. This is someone worth keeping close. Growing older gives you a quiet but powerful right, the right to choose Who has access to your energy? You are allowed to love people without staying close to them. You can care deeply without reopening doors that lead to unrest. You can wish someone well without inviting their turbulence back into your daily life. Love does not always require proximity. Peace never does. This stage of life invites honest reflection. Who leaves you feeling nourished after time together? Who leaves you feeling drained? Who honors your present self instead of insisting on an outdated version of you? These answers are not about blame. They are about alignment, and they shape the quality of the years ahead far more than the stories of the past. There is a simple truth echoed throughout Buddhist wisdom. If something costs your peace, it is too expensive. You have already paid enough through stress, silence, and self-erasure. You no longer owe anyone access to your inner world simply because you once shared history. What you deserve now are relationships that feel like shelter, steady, warm, and safe, not relationships that feel like battles where you must constantly explain yourself just to belong. In this chapter of life, choose peace over pressure, choose depth over density, choose the kind of company that allows your spirit to breathe. Your energy is no longer endless. Your time is precious, and your heart, after everything it has carried, has earned the right to rest in gentle, respectful hands. Number 4. Making peace with change and impermanence. One of the hardest moments in life arrives quietly, the moment you realize that nothing stays the same, not even you. Your body changes, your roles shift. The way you move through the world no longer matches the image you still carry inside. People you once relied on drift away. Familiar structures fall apart. And in that silence, a simple question can arise. Who am I if everything I knew is changing? Buddhism begins with an honest truth. Impermanence is not a problem to solve. It is the nature of life itself. Everything that arises will pass. Yet, this truth often feels sharper with age. Change becomes more visible, more personal. The mirror reflects a different story. The past feels closer, the future feels quieter, and without understanding impermanence, this stage of life can feel like loss after loss. But Buddhist wisdom offers a liberating perspective. You are not what changes. You are the awareness that notices change. Thoughts shift, bodies age, relationships transform, but the presence observing all of it remains. When you stop tying your identity to what is constantly moving, something inside relaxes. The world can shift without shaking your inner ground. Life can be understood through seasons. Spring brings beginnings. Summer brings fullness. Autumn teaches release. Winter invites rest. Each season passes, yet each is essential. Aging is not a mistake in the cycle. It is winter, not a season of decay, but of distillation. The noise fades. What mattered less falls away. What remains becomes clearer. Winter is quiet, but it is sacred. Without it, nothing could grow again. Instead of resisting change, Buddhism encourages gentle acknowledgement. When something shifts, your strength, your routine, your relationships, pause and simply notice it. Name it without judgment. This is changing. In doing so, resistance softens. And when resistance softens, suffering loosens its grip. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means meeting reality without inner conflict. There is a powerful shift that happens when comparison gives way to gratitude. Rather than saying, "I used to be able to do that," you begin to say, "I'm thankful for what I can still do." This subtle change opens the heart instead of closing it. It replaces bitterness with presence. When you stop fighting impermanence, life becomes lighter. Each moment feels more precious, not less. Because it will pass, it matters. If nothing ever changed, nothing would feel meaningful. There would be no tenderness, no urgency, no depth to love or memory. Impermanence is what gives life its texture. To make peace with change is not to lose yourself. It is to discover the part of you that has always been steady beneath it all. And the more you accept life as it moves, the freer you become to live fully, right here, as you are. Number 5. Returning to the power of the present moment. Nothing else in your life is actually happening right now except this moment, not the past you revisit in your mind, not the future you quietly worry about. Only this breath, this sensation, this small slice of time belongs to you. Yet, as we grow older, the mind often forgets this. It drifts backward, replaying old scenes, reopening regrets that can no longer be changed. And when it isn't looking behind, it leans forward, imagining futures shaped more by fear than reality. Buddhist wisdom gently interrupts this habit. It reminds us not to live inside memory and not to disappear into imagination. The past has its place. It holds lessons and understanding, but it is not meant to be a permanent residence. Think of it as a library. Its shelves are filled with chapters of your life, some tender, some painful, all meaningful. You may visit when you need clarity, but you were never meant to live among those pages. The future, on the other hand, is a story still being drafted. It exists mostly in the mind, written with equal parts hope and worry. It feels real, but it is not happening yet. The present moment is different. It has weight, texture, breathe. This moment is alive. Being present does not mean forcing yourself to feel grateful or pretending every moment is beautiful. Presence is much simpler than that. It is allowing what is here to be here, without arguing with it, without comparing it to yesterday, without wishing it were something else. It is meeting life as it arrives. There is a gentle practice that brings the mind back home. Bring your attention to where your body already is. If you are walking, feel each step. If you are drinking tea, taste it fully. If sunlight is touching your space, let yourself notice it. If you are breathing, feel the quiet rise and fall that has carried you through every season of your life. These moments are not small when you are truly with them. One of the quiet gifts of aging is the ability to notice what youth often rushes past. The softness of early morning, the calm weight of evening air, the simple comfort of familiar rhythms. What once seemed ordinary becomes precious when you slow down enough to feel it. You may not have control over everything life brings, but you always have the choice to return to this breath, this heartbeat, this moment. This is the only place life ever unfolds, and when you learn to rest here, even briefly, peace stops feeling distant. It becomes something you can touch. Number 6. Living with compassion as your true legacy. At a certain stage in life, a quiet question naturally arises. What will remain of me when I am gone? The mind often answers with achievements, titles, recognition, or success. But Buddhist wisdom points somewhere far deeper and far more lasting. Your true legacy is not what you accumulated. It is how you made people feel in your presence. Compassion in Buddhism is more than simple kindness. It is the ability to look at another human being and recognize shared humanity, their fears, their hopes, their unseen struggles. It is the softening of the heart that says, without words, I see you. Compassion does not require agreement or closeness. It requires understanding. It asks for warmth without expectation, care without condition. As people grow older, something subtle often happens. Forgiveness for others becomes easier, yet judgment toward oneself grows harsher. Past mistakes are carried like heavy stones. The body is criticized for changing. Old choices are revisited with regret rather than gentleness. But Buddhist teaching reminds us that compassion must begin inward. You cannot offer peace to others while denying it to yourself. There is a simple practice that gently opens the heart. Whenever you encounter another person, a loved one, a stranger, even someone who challenges you, silently reflect. Just like me, this person wants to be happy. Just like me, this person experiences pain. Just like me, this person deserves peace. These words quietly dissolve separation. They soften conflict. They turn distance into understanding. Compassion often reveals itself in small, unnoticed ways. Listening without interrupting, choosing a softer tone instead of sharpness, offering patience where frustration would be easier, extending forgiveness even when an apology never comes. These moments may seem insignificant, but they echo far longer than anything material ever could. Never underestimate the power of your presence. Sitting with someone patiently in a hurried world is a rare gift. Responding with warmth creates safety. Choosing peace reminds others that gentleness still exists. You do not need to make grand gestures to matter. The world does not remember noise. It remembers warmth. It remembers those who made space for others to soften. Your inner peace becomes a quiet light that naturally extends outward. You may never see how far it reaches, but it reaches nonetheless. This is the legacy that lasts, not what you achieved, but the calm, care, and understanding you left behind. Aging is not a closing chapter. It is a deepening one. This season of life invites you to move more gently, see more clearly, and love with less fear. These lessons are not rules or demands. They are invitations to breathe softer, to choose peace, and to honor the beauty still unfolding within you. You are not here to rush anymore. You are here to live with the quiet wisdom earned through every season you have walked through. If these reflections touched something within you, let your presence be felt. A gentle like, a thoughtful comment, or a simple subscription helps this circle of calm reach someone who may need it today. Thank you for sharing this moment of stillness with Zen Buddhism. May you be peaceful. May you be present. May you be free. I'll see you in the next video.